Welcome to another episode of the Tower 26B Race Share Podcast. I'm Joe Minsky here with Coach Gerry Rodriguez. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good.
4 a.m. wake-up call for you this morning.
No, that's the time I got in my car, buddy.
You left the house at 3 a.m.
All to come to see you.
All for me. All for me. You're doing it for me. Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited for this show. We haven't done it in 3 weeks, right?
I know. We missed a week. You went out of town.
I was going to Chicago.
Where did you go?
Chicago. You could cut the humidity with a knife, buddy. It was insane how humid it is there, but we're back to this dry heat, and this is the way I like it.
Took the family, right?
Took the family, grandma and grandpa's house. This is the realization I had. All you people, we talk about triathlon, swimming, training. I'm going to tell you something, Jer. And I told you this on the phone. You slightly disagreed with me because you thought my wife wouldn't be happy about it. But forget going to Cancun or Hawaii or Mexico, wherever. We're going to wherever parents are, where my parents are, her parents are. Because you push the kids off for at least an hour, I get a little bit of respite.
Okay, that's fair. I thought you meant it's best to just go to your parents' house. And I go, well, you got to think about your wife there a little bit. But
no.
But if you're spreading that out 50-50, that's good.
50-50, yeah, because then the aunts and uncles, the cousins are around. Forget it. I'm just going to go to grandma and grandpa's house. And they have this hotel in Chicago. We didn't partake, but it's a lover's hotel called the Sybaris. And I always tell my wife, we're going to go to the Sybaris. They have afternoon deals, so that tells you what kind of hotel it is.
Kid number 3.
Tell Megan, we're going to go to Sybaris 3 hours, stay with grandma and grandpa. But the Sybaris didn't happen this time. But hey, Sybaris, we're looking for sponsors. We will you can advertise on this show if you like. A lot of triathletes looking to get away from their kids.
Well, you took a week. You were gone for a full week.
Yeah, it was Monday to Saturday, so it was Sunday or whatever it was. But it was nice. 4th of July in Chicago is like nothing else. They have parades, fireworks, candy. The kids were over the moon. So
hot and humid, huh? Hot and humid, am I right?
Humid, you can't believe.
I don't miss that.
Living in a swamp.
Growing up in the Caribbean, Trinidad, I don't miss that humidity at all.
Speaking of heat, you been watching the Tour de France?
I've been on with the tour almost daily.
If
I don't see the thing, I watch the recap and yeah.
Let me tell you something. These guys, we spoke about this a little before the show started, but they are attacking. But what the race organizers have done in the last couple of years is they've made the route aggressive day after day after day. There's very few transition stages where there's just soft pedaling for 100 miles. They are climbing and they're sprinting, and it's day after day after day of work. Have you noticed this?
Well, relative to other tours, yes. And I'm wondering what you think is the reason. You gave one reason you're thinking is that the stage layout may be different. But is there a chance that these athletes are more confident now that their nutrition is more dialed in, that they can last the duration of the day after day after day? It's not just a 5-hour ride. It's multiple days of 5-hour rides. Yeah. Because I was watching the, you put it up, didn't you? You showed us the caloric intake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and on the bike, how many carbs they're taking.
Yeah, Leslie shared that with me, and it's amazing. I mean, they eat over 2,000 calories for breakfast, 2,000 calories for lunch. Then they go and race, and they take in their race nutrition, and they have another dinner of 2,000-3,000 calories.
So the intake was about 6,000 eating calories, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then several. What was it? 600 grams of carbs during each stage, approximately a stage?
Oh, no, grams of carbs. I can look it up, but I think, probably 600 grams of carbs.
The point is, in that interview that I listened to where Armstrong was interviewed by Peter Attia, I believe, or Peter was talking to him, he said, we just ate and drank when we felt thirsty and hungry. There was sort of no science behind it.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, with the amount of improvements in the science of nutrition for these athletes, especially cyclists, one, is their performance much better? And two, does it give them confidence to be able to make these breaks that's occurring? Yeah,
and then you talk about there's 8 guys on the team. Everyone, as we always talk about, these athletes now are coming up stronger and fitter than they ever have. Everyone is a weapon. Yep. Now they're topped off with fuel, and they can have more aggressive stages because they're all working together at a higher level. And you're seeing. It's more fun to watch the racing. I think that the stages that they've created are bringing more viewers in and keeping the people watching for 4 or 5 hours, the duration of the race, because it's keeping you on your edge as opposed to just guys sitting in the peloton soft pedaling. But you brought up Lance. Have you? And after each stage, they air the Move, the podcast called The Move. Have you seen this? They do it live.
I looked for about 1 minute, and I didn't. It didn't grab me like I wanted it to grab me.
I was gonna say, okay, they got Lance on there, they got George Hincapie,
right?
And Jer, I mean, I'd rather watch a sloth on watching his mom pass away than the Move podcast. Sure, it's some big names, and these guys have a wealth of knowledge, but it is so freaking boring.
They need you. They really do.
This is coming from guys who talk about a triathlon swim podcast talking about it. It is.
I mean, that's literally, our podcast is like watching grass grow, but you make it lively, and I watched that minute with those guys. And I said, they need you.
Well, there's no inflection in the voice.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing carrying it. They need it's not that they're not excited to be here. I'm excited to be here. You're excited to be here. So, Lance, I know you watch our podcast. I know you've swam with in the past. A little inflection in the voice. Act like you want to be there.
Yeah, you had to train me a bit on that, and because I have sort of a, Caribbean going easy, soft.
Yeah, Rastaman.
Yeah, man. Yeah, everything cool over here. But you've taught me a little bit about inflection. But the point is, you add the liveliness, and they didn't have it. And I listened to it for probably 2 minutes, and I thought, I've watched enough cycling, and I didn't feel like, to your point, I wasn't inspired to listen on.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's my 2 cents on that. So it's entertaining. The tour is entertaining. We'll watch that part of it. No, more big news. Check out the new hat, Jer. We got the Tower 26 cap. I want to be the first one to gift you our new Tower 26 hat. There you go. That's the first edition.
Thank you.
So we'll make some changes going into the next edition. But
Performance trucker. All right.
There you go. Performance trucker for guys. Running. And
thank you.
Hey, you guys want a Tower 26 cap? Email me, Jim@tower26.com, and we'll get it out to you.
Thank you.
Send that out, and then it looks good on the table.
It does. I like it.
All right. So last episode, what did we talk about?
Well, we went, interesting that I talked about it this morning at workout, we went over, one of the things we went over was sighting, right? Open water sighting and the fluidity that sighting needs to, that one needs to develop with sighting so it has no impact on your performance, right?
Yeah.
So the lift, look, and breathe style. And we showed a couple of videos with that.
I'll tell you, people want to learn about that because we had a ton of listeners. We had a ton of viewers on YouTube. So this is the kind of stuff that they want to hear about, how to apply those tactics to race day. And the sighting was a big one. And some of the stuff that you went over that we never spoke about in the past about sighting, I got a ton of feedback saying, you know what, I never thought of it that way either.
I hadn't, and it's one of those things where, do you really think about how you breathe when you're walking around during the day? You don't. You just sort of, it's involuntary. And I had not broken down the exhaling in particular in its steps as to where should it be done. I hadn't thought it through carefully, and I realized once I started explaining that, took me frickin' 44 decades to figure it out. Tells you how slow I am. But the point is, once I started integrating that into the teaching, arsenal, the members started doing much, much better. And in fact, I was telling our members this week at Santa Barbara, we had about 15, 16 people at one of the workouts, that every single person, and by the way, we have no one that swims in our workouts that have any swim background, meaning they did not swim on a college team or a high school team. Mm-hmm. They learned to swim maybe as a little kid growing up, like we all did, or they're adult onset learning, athletes. All of them have better sighting skills than many professional triathletes.
Wow.
As far as lift, look, and breathe, and be smooth and silky. Because I've been watching the last few, Olympic distance races in the series. The Hamburg was a sprint, actually, wasn't an Olympic distance. It was a sprint, but the one before in Yokohama was a full Olympic distance race. And even the athletes at the front, some are quite unskilled. Yeah. They lift, they look, and then they put their head back down. Mm-hmm. And they're doing their inhaling and exhaling in the lift and look. And they're not turning to breathe. Well, it's something so it's very clunky, and the brakes go on, and then they go back down. Then they swim, then the brakes go on, and then they go back down.
I think a lot of times that attention to detail is overlooked. I'll just look where I'm going. I'll just worry about my swim sets, and I won't worry about that slight attention to detail they need to make that fluid, so they never really practice it. It's something that we ingrain in our training every single session at this time of year. Maybe they think they're too good for it. Maybe they're just like, I'll be able to do that. It's not a big deal. But it's a huge part of it if you're doing every 6 to 8 strokes.
Yeah, I don't think they think that. It's just they probably coaches, they're such good athletes. They're such high-performance swimmers that their coaches haven't really taught them how to sight properly, correctly. Yep. So they just do what they do, which is sort of water polo style sighting, which the more elite you are, the more you've earned the right to do water polo style sighting, which simply means your head stays up above the water and your arm stroke. The problem with that is it does require more kicking to keep your lower body elevated, so it's a higher cost to it, right? Heartbeats go up. So why add an additional toll, an additional cost, if you don't have to? Learn to do it the effective way that's fluid and at a less cost.
Yeah, may as well. Work it in. It's not that hard to work in. You just got to commit to it.
Yeah.
And then so real quick, we're going to talk about what we're going to get to this episode. But on YouTube, Keith Shireman just asked, how old is this base cooler I put over here, over my left-hand shoulder? How old is that cooler? And I mean, that thing's probably 10 years old. But you know what? I don't think I've ever used it as a cooler. It's more of just a backdrop. So we get these hard-hitting questions on YouTube. So guys,
who's that from, Keith?
It's Keith Shireman, one of our athletes.
Sure. Hi, Keith.
So hard-hitting questions, keep them coming. I got the YouTube open right here, so keep the questions, keep the comments coming. We'll work it into the episode, so we can incorporate you, the listener, into the episode. I'm looking into the camera, Joe. Just so you know.
Usually, I find myself looking downward at us.
Yeah.
But,
so this episode, what are we going to hit on?
Well, now I'm going to go on Keith's question there. When you do put stuff in that cooler, with all the juicing that's going on these days, what do you got in there?
Just say, I have my backyard. We redid our backyard last year, and there's a lot of parties going on, which you have to partake in one of these parties.
Well, I'm waiting for the invite.
It's not the non-alcoholic variety that's going in there. So it's called Jungle Juice, something that we used
I remember that in college.
Knowing Matt Miller of Base is a big Jungle Juice fan, I make sure I do him his honor, and I put the Jungle Juice in there for those backyard parties.
I just saw a photo of Matt Miller and his wife. He's a handsome man, and his wife, she's a beautiful lady. Yeah. I mean, they make this stunning looking couple, don't they?
They're all right. He's hitting above his average. So I'm kidding with you, bud. Okay, so this episode, what do we got on tap?
Well, we sort of teased a little bit about open water tactics, things that we can deploy tactically, I should say, to help with your performance, and also questions that come up that athletes ask us, Jim, about, well, when should I do this, or should I do that, or what should be done? And they're really tactical questions. Yeah. They're not technical questions. They're tactically. A perfect example is I'm drafting on somebody and they're swimming crooked. What should I do?
Yep.
So that's a tactical question, right?
I just had a conversation with an athlete racing Lake Placid yesterday, another athlete who's going to be racing Ironman Copenhagen in a couple weeks. Those exact questions. What if I feel like I'm going too slow? What if they're swimming crooked? Should I even be drafting? We have a lot of athletes racing the Legacy Triathlon in Long Beach this weekend. Yes. They're brand new athletes. They're not comfortable in tight quarters. So what should they do in that type of condition? So hopefully we're going to answer all this in this show.
Well, let's just start with that one, for instance. If you're not comfortable in tight quarters...
Why the hell haven't you been swimming with us? That's number one.
Well, that would be exactly it. And you know, what we do, as you know, you do it, I do it, our coaches are taught to do it. Our program is built by deconstructing, at least as it relates to the swim segment, deconstruct the swim from the time you get to your bike, right, which is T1. Yep. I guess by the time you get to your bike, you're sort of in the middle of T1. T1 will start the moment you exit the water. You run up to your bike, and then you run your bike out, and then you mount, right? But so from the time you mount backwards, we deconstruct that whole scenario all the way to the start of the race, and then deconstruct that backwards to the start of your training. And then we have come up with our training plan, why we have 5 phases to our plan, and then within each phase, why we do what we do. And when we get to, especially to, Jim, as you know, phase 4, which is our open water skill building, why we do the things we do, what those skills are, and then in our race ready phase 5 that we're in right now, what do the training sets look like? What are the skills that are being developed? And to your point, the tactics, and specifically you were asking about, or your athlete was asking about, I'm not comfortable in close quarters. Well, that needs to be, we've identified that as one of the issues. It's not as big as it used to be, because races now, especially half Ironman and Ironman races, they have these 2- and 3-person starts, right? They're rolling
they go
starts.
Off every 5 seconds. The beeper goes. Santa Barbara did it last year. Santa Barbara's coming up in August. They did that last year, and
so it's made it more comfortable,
really smooth.
Yeah, smoother. But there's still races we go to, and you'll have a 200 or 300 person start, right? So you got to have traffic. And when there are lots of folks around and there's no comfort with it, so you have to build that into your training sessions. So how do you become comfortable with something? Through adaptation of doing more of the something. So in this case, if it's being around crowded quarters, you need to create an environment within your open water sessions, but you start with your pool sessions, as we do, and you swim in close quarters, 2 or 3 or 4 people abreast. 3 or 4 people in front of you, 3 or 4 people behind you. If you have 12 people in a workout, then have everybody in one lane, 3 abreast, 4 rows deep, right?
Yep.
Have 12 people swimming, and then switch spots around. Person in the middle goes to the right, person on the right goes to the left. You do shorter distances, obviously, but the objective is to become familiar with being in different positions, right side, center position, left side, in front, squished in or in between. Yeah. All the various positions
Before
that
we do these workouts in the pool, I tell my athletes to sharpen their fingernails because it's going to get dirty. But you can't be afraid of contact. You get out there on race day, and there's people that get really offended by the contact.
Sure.
It's just part of it. You get 1,000 bodies in a tight area. Things are going to happen. Fists are flying. No one means to hit you.
It's unintentional.
You got to get used to that unintentional contact.
Yeah, and not take it as intention, because then you get upset. So there's a psychological component of it, right? How it affects you. You have to not let it affect you. But that, for you to get there, how do I get there where it doesn't affect me? You have to build that into your training sessions. So whoever asked you that question, come to our workouts and start doing training with swimming with people in front, behind, on the right side, on the left side, so you become familiar. And recognize the word. It is familiar with these positions. It doesn't mean you're comfortable with it. Don't confuse, I used a phrase, you become familiar with the discomfort. People always talk about you become comfortable with the discomfort. No, it's not comfortable. The word is familiar. You're familiar with the discomfort. Doesn't mean you like it. Doesn't mean you enjoy it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're good at it. You're just familiar with, you know what, I'm in this position right now. I don't really like it. Okay, but I'm used to it. And all that means is it creates a better sort of calmness to some extent, right? It's like, okay, I know I'm not going to drown here. Because that's the thing about of the 3 sports of swimming. It's the one where you can die, right?
Oh,
you cannot. You can get off your bike and walk if you need to. You can just stop running and walk. Swimming, you can't stand up. 99% of the time, right? So it's like there's an anxiety to it.
So if an athlete they've done the work, they've come to our workouts, but they get there and they're super nervous, they just don't want to be around people, what would your suggestion be? I'm talking about the legacy athletes. Maybe we have brand new people who are swimming in a group for the first time, don't even know about Tower 26. They're turned on to this podcast. What would you say to that person who's just showing up? That's their first open water swim, and the answer can't be turn around and we'll go home.
Well, they should get in and warm up.
Yep.
Okay. First thing, if that's an opportunity, get in and warm up to just get calmed down, get acclimated with the water temperature, get acclimated with at Long Beach what the gradient is going to be like as they run into the water. So create some familiarity, because remember the 3 F's. You move from fear to familiarity through frequency, which means doing the action, right? So the action in this case is going to be get in and warm up. So that helps create some sense of hopefully calm. And then stand away from, you don't have to stand right in the middle of the group. Make sure on the start line, I would think, I'm not sure where you're going with this.
You got the beach. I mean, you can go 30 feet away down the beach and be on your own.
And that's very difficult to do. Do we have time to do an example?
Do it.
Many years ago, I was down in San Diego, and I can't remember what race it was. And my wife was whatever, it was like a 15-year age range. There were like 2 or 3 waves of age groups together. It was about 200 women starting off. And my wife would be sort of a middle of the packer on the swim, right? So she's going to be caught in a scrum. But there was a very, very strong current. And the first buoy was fairly far out. It was, I would say, 150 meters, 200 meters out, maybe even further, straight out. But there was a very, very strong current going to the north. And I told her, I want you to go 40 meters away when the cannon goes off. Everyone's standing together. I said, and you being the furthest person on the left, so have everybody to your right, and then when the gun goes off, I want you to run towards me. And I went and stood 40 meters away on the sand. Now, everyone ran in, straight in, and I had her run diagonal. Now, that takes courage and trust, okay?
Well, also listening to your husband's always a tough thing, too. You know?
Well,
I don't care who you are.
We could do an 8-series episode of podcast of that.
You said run that way. She runs that way. That's what my wife would do.
And then you're always wrong, whatever way you took.
Oh, totally.
But anyway.
Well, that way I should have. That's for sure.
So I had her run diagonally. It wasn't quite 40 meters, probably 25 to 30 meters over to me. By this time, everyone's in the water, right?
Yep.
And they're getting swept north.
Yeah.
Okay? I'd her run all the way to me and then head in.
So she got swept right to the buoy.
She got swept, and she was 6th to the buoy out of probably close to 200 people. She could not believe it. Couldn't believe it.
Wow.
You know.
She still doesn't listen to you, right?
Listen to me on one thing.
But it's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable.
Yes.
So especially if you're newer, you want that herd mentality. Let me just stay with all these people. But if you can find some open water, if you can find some clear water and kind of ease into your stroke, you don't feel the pressure, you can stop and relax and let that wetsuit float a little bit. Get off to the side, find the clear water. You might swim a little longer because you got to come further back to the buoy.
A few meters, that's it.
If it helps you with those nerves. All right, so you're comfortable swimming on someone's feet, right?
And I call that the fly effect, by the way. You ever take out the filament, the casing of and you pull it out, there's a bunch of dead flies in there.
Yeah.
They're all attracted to the light. They all go in and then they get zapped and they're dead, right?
This we call the fly on shit effect.
Okay.
It's like flies on shit.
So, and that's what happens. Our sort of human nature is the gun goes off and everybody like hones in on each other. Like, radar into one another. Create space. Look for open space. While you're running in or you're getting ready to start off swimming, just look around. Oh, there's 6 feet of open space. Go towards it.
Yep. Yeah, there's no race, or it should be a really tight channel where one person could fit. You can get out, get some space.
Yep.
But you're comfortable swimming with people, right? You're comfortable being in the group. You want to draft. You want to save that 30% or whatever it is by staying on someone's feet. Let's talk about that. You take it out at race pace effort. You find an athlete to get on their feet. Now, tactically, how should you be processing the information that's coming? Staying on the feet. Are you going fast enough? Are they swimming straight? How often should you be sighting? What about this?
So there are a couple of things. 2 things in particular when you get on somebody's feet. Is the pace right, and then are they swimming crooked? And based on those answers, you then make a certain set of decisions. So think of it as a tree diagram. 2 things here. Are they swimming straight? Yes or no? Okay? So let's go down that pathway. You have a yes and a no. If they're swimming straight, yes, you stay on their feet. If they're swimming crooked, then you have to then tree off again. You have 2 questions to ask. They're swimming crooked. While on their feet, am I spent, meaning am I barely able to hang on, or am I fairly comfortable back here? And if you're fairly comfortable back there behind them on their feet, meaning you could handle that pace on your own or even go faster, you do not follow them if they go crooked.
Right.
If you're spent, meaning you are just hanging on for dear life, but you're able to hang on, you're pressed against your ceiling, right?
Yep.
But you're barely hanging on, and they go crooked, you go crooked.
That's a good point. Yeah, I like that.
Everyone is going to reconnect and redirect and swim straight. By the way, every single person thinks they're swimming straight at any moment in time. Otherwise, they wouldn't be.
Wouldn't swim straight, yeah.
So every person thinks they're swimming straight, although they might be going crooked, and then they look up and they redirect their position towards the buoy turn, right? So you know that the person is going crooked at some point is going to redirect. And usually it's not too long. It's several seconds, could be up to 10 seconds-ish. But if you are completely gassed and you're barely hanging on and they go crooked, you go crooked.
Yeah.
You stay on their feet.
Yeah.
So that's the rule as far as drafting goes. Now,
and I've had so many examples of this. It's just processing in my head right now about how many different examples. I remember in Penticton one time, I'm with a group of pro triathletes, and it was one of my first pro race. I was actually swimming really well, and we were just hammering, and I did realize we're not going exactly on the buoys, but I didn't have time to think. I'm like, I just want to stay right where I'm at because I know we're swimming fast. But I mean, countless times it is the other example of where I see someone go way off to the right, and I'm like, well, I'm working pretty easy on this guy's feet. I'm not going to go with him. Right. I'm just going to go straight to the buoys.
Once you're pinned, you got to follow.
Yep.
Now, here's well, it depends on which is Jason Smith uses that quite a bit. It depends. Remember, the faster the athlete.
When he says it depends, by the way, you can say it. When he says I want to punch him, really, the way he says it, I don't know, it's like snarky voice, snarky tone. I just want to sock him right in the nose every time he says it. Luckily, he's on Zoom most of the time I hear it.
So if you're at the pointy end where you're totally fast, all right. So let's fan out the speed variance of athletes. Right up here, if you're watching this in video, I'm drawing a triangle. At the pointy end of the triangle, your fastest athletes. And then as you fan out down, and in every race, it also fans out. If you look at a field from a bird's eye view, it's normally a fat triangle or a lean triangle, but it's a triangle, right? As you fan out, those who are further and further away from the leader means they're slower athletes, right? Slower and slower and slower and slower. The slower the athlete is, generally, a general rule of thumb is the less skilled they are. The faster you are, generally you have more skill. You spent more time learning, preparing, acquiring skills, building speed, gaining performance, right? Yep. So generally, the person closer towards the front will swim a straighter line. Mm-hmm. The person further away will swim less straight line. So if you're towards the back and you're drafting off of somebody, one, the draft is much less because the slower you go, the less the draft, mm-hmm. right? So you have a slower draft, and if that person really starts swimming crooked and you're pinned, the example, or the rule that I put out a minute ago, you have to think about it more carefully, because then it may be in your best interest to try to swim straight, because you're not going very fast to begin with. You're swimming 2 minutes per 100 and slower. The person starts going crooked a lot. It might be best for you to your point, Jim, sight frequently and swim your mm-hmm. straight line. Mm-hmm. But as you climb up in speed, 140 per 100, 120 per 100, 105 per 100, 1 minute at the pointy end, at that pointy end, especially, let's say the 115 speed, Jim, 110, 120, let's make it 120. On faster, if you're pinned in performance and person goes crooked, you go crooked. Mm-hmm. Because they're going to correct within several seconds. On the moment they correct, if you've decided to swim the straight line, when they correct, they still always end up ahead of you. And then you've lost the feet. So, rule of thumb.
I'm just thinking of it from a cycling standpoint, right? If you're in a peloton, and let's think about the Tour de France, right? You're in a peloton.
There's a big difference, but go ahead. I want to hear
2 days ago, they're in the breakaway was 50 guys.
Yes.
And they were going 33 miles an hour.
Yes.
I don't know what that in kilometer mile. That's like 7,000 kilometers per hour. But, they take a wrong turn, or they go, they take the long way around the roundabout. You're going to take the long way around the roundabout because you want to stay on that wheel.
Yes.
If they were just soft pedaling, if you had the peloton was soft pedaling, and the guys in the peloton they weren't pinned like that, they take the short way around the roundabout. They're not worried. They're like, oh, just get right back on with those guys.
There's a lot to learn. In fact, much of my open water skill, development came from watching cycling races and the mile on the track.
I didn't know that. I just put it right there. Put it right out there.
Back in my day, we didn't have what we have now. So you had to buy or rent Beta and VHS. And I'd buy all the Tour races and the Paris-Roubaix and the Giro. And I'd watch all these races and I'd learn tactical skills. Yeah. The thing is, we have two differences between open water and cycling, Jim. The cyclist, as the runner, but it's more so in cycling, the cyclist can go from riding 25 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour, okay? Whatever that is in kilometers. And they can go up to 40. They can make an explosive burst and literally go 30 or 40% faster. We can't in swimming.
No.
Okay? So that's number one. Number two, we're in this dense medium of resistance. Dense medium. So we get punished more for mistakes. So we have to be super careful about when we make tactical decisions. Mm-hmm. In cycling, they're not punished as much.
Yeah.
Obviously. And if they make a tactical mistake, they can sort of self-correct much better than we can. So we have to be mindful of, we can learn from them, but there are certain things that are not going to work, such as when a breakaway occurs in cycling, somebody can move from 25 to 35 or 40 miles an hour once they've trained at that level, right? They get up there, get going. We don't have that type of acceleration in swimming. Everyone's sort of within a couple of seconds. Once you have somewhat equal ability, your acceleration is just a couple of seconds per 100, right? Yeah. It's not that much.
Yeah, and it's hard to, it takes time because of that resistance to make that break. It's not like they just put the pressure of the pedals and go. You got this medium that's pushing against you that takes a second to make that break.
So the next thing that and you'd asked about is, or that we wanted to talk about is what happens when you're on somebody's feet and you're pinned. And let's use the example. Remember, there are two things if you're on somebody's feet. You're really comfortable or you're really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Now, it could be somewhere in between, but let's just go with two extreme examples. You're sitting back there, you're fairly comfortable, and you're fine. Or the other one is you're just barely hanging on. And you're right there on their toes, and you're touching. And by the way, guys, 3 feet off of somebody's toes, just 3 feet, half a body length approximately, 3 feet, you lose 50% of the draft.
So you got to be right there.
You got to be always right there.
Right up there. Butt to nut, I like to say.
Butt to nut. So you got to be right there, in it to win it. You're on their toes. And sometimes you've probably noticed this, Jim. All of a sudden, the person you're drafting on slows down a lot, and all of a sudden your hands are right up on into their up to their knees almost. What everybody wants to do is in the draftee, the person sitting behind, they want to put the brakes on and slow down right away. Don't do that. So if you're right behind them, if you're looking here in the video, you're sitting right on their feet, and they put the brakes on, you don't put the brakes on. You just slide over and be slightly to their right or to their left side, where your hand is now extended up close towards their knee. Do not put the brakes on. Here's why. Tactically, if I were the guy leading and you were the draftee, I would slow down intentionally, right?
Yeah.
For you to slow down behind me. And so you're reacting to what I'm doing, and then I'm going to accelerate. So I'm going to use a tactical move intentionally to make you slow down, and then I'm going to accelerate, but then you have to respond to my acceleration, and I'm going to accelerate with also a movement to the right or to the left. So don't give up your performance. Don't give up your speed, your momentum, because the person in front of you slows down. Just slide to the right or slide to the left, but don't give up your momentum.
And if you are doing that, if you're giving up the momentum, you're blowing through your matches because you're starting and stopping. It's not fluid. So you got to stay as fluid as you can, because if you keep practicing that start, stop, slow down, speed up, you're just burning matches, putting in that energy to speed up again.
And also, by slowing down, what do you think happens to the person behind you?
Frustrated?
Exactly. Same thing. They're running up.
What the hell's wrong with this guy?
They're running into you and touching your feet. So, yeah, just slightly move over to the right, to the left, and continue at your pacing.
Keep it as fluid as you can.
Do not kill your momentum.
What if I'm on the feet and I just feel, okay, this guy's not going fast enough. I got to get by this guy. I go to get by him, and I can't get by him. And you say, oh, he's speeding up when I go next to him. What do you do then?
So good question. That does happen, because sometimes you're sitting on the feet and you realize, well, I'm pretty comfortable. So on the tree diagram example of, yes, I'm comfortable, no, I'm not, you're fairly comfortable. And then you go, I could take this guy, all right, this person, and you start coming up alongside them, and they speed up. That does happen. It's like, wait a minute, you can't pass me, right? So they do speed up, and you might end up having to swim next to them for a while, and you may not be able to get ahead of them. But if you're going to pass somebody, and you've made the decision, I think I can swim a lot faster, don't pass them right next to them. Don't pull up right next to them. Create some lateral distance, and then make your move.
So, exactly. Put in a little more of an effort, get past them, make the move. I find a lot of times when I'm on a feet and I feel like I'm not working hard enough, and I go next to them and I just can't pass them, I say, you know what? Maybe this guy's swimming well and the draft was working that well.
Correct.
I'm not swimming as fast as I think I am. Let me get back on his feet.
Yes.
Because there's no point in putting in a huge effort getting to the front. If he's swimming the same speed, I'm going to swim anyway.
Correct.
It just shows how much energy I'm saving.
Yes. So if you got next to them and he or she turned it up a bit, or they continued at the same pace, and you can't get ahead, it means you can't get ahead.
Yeah.
You're equally matched. Then you could go back to the draft position.
And it shows you that you're saving that energy.
You're saving
right?
energy.
You're at 130 pace. You want to swim 130 pace. You go to pass them, and you can't pass them. You say, I'm at 130 pace. It feels easy. Get back in the draft. Let them pull you along. Save that 30%. Because we say you're working 30% less when you're on the feet. If you're right on that athlete's feet or on their hip, you're working 30% less than you would be if you were swimming in the open, clean water.
And then tactically, just so you know, the positions to save the most energy, since you're using the 30%, the positions to save the most energy is to sit right in somebody's pocket, right here, right off the rib cage to the hip area. If you could get into that area on the right or left side, that's the pocket. That's the place that you benefit the most as the draftee. The draftor, the person leading, generally would hate that position for anybody to be in, because it's also sucking them backwards a bit. And for me, I never liked when that was happening. I'd push people away. Because I can feel myself getting sucked into them. So I would just use my hand and slightly push them off, saying, hey, you don't belong here. It's not
full contact swimming.
Yeah, it was a gentle tug, just a little push, saying, hey, step away.
Gentle, the knuckle sandwich right in the face, right there. Boom.
So that's the premier position, and then the next spot is right right on the feet.
So we'll see the World Championships coming up here. They start in September. They go October. You have November's the 70.3. They always go with the helicopter view, and you see like you said, it turns into is it echelon? Is that the right word?
Good word.
The triangle. You get the leader, then it fans out from there.
Yep.
What are those athletes that are in the middle of that triangle? What are they going through? What's and I know this wasn't on the docket to talk about, but it's on top of my mind. What is that athlete feeling when they're surrounded front, back, side? It's a tight. Is there arms everywhere, legs everywhere? Can they even swim, or are they just getting pulled along? What's that feeling?
So they're getting pulled along because there's momentum sucking you along, right? There's a little flow of water, positive flow. But you're also very confined.
Yeah.
Again, right? To your point, there's somebody in front of you blocking you moving. There's somebody to the right side blocking you. There's somebody to the left side blocking. There's somebody behind you. You're in the scrum. So in the ideal world, it's not where you want to be. Right.
So are they actually getting a good stroke in, or do you think they have to compensate a ton just because there's no space?
I think it's very likely that, having been in that position and at the front of the field in competitiveness, there's nothing you can do. You're boxed in.
Yeah.
And it's not a position I enjoyed being in because I had no control. Mm-hmm. And I always like to control the race. I like to have the opportunity for race control. And there is none in the middle.
Right.
So all I'm doing is responding to what's around me, and I'm in defense mode because I could get squashed from the right, squashed from the left. The person in front can slow down. The person behind could start swimming up my legs.
React.
It's just so why be in that position?
Right.
I mean, it's not fun. Okay, you can't maneuver anywhere. So why not just enjoy the experience rather than having a shitty experience? So
that's what you do. You just push some heads at your hip and move over to the side, get some clean water.
You do a little rollover move and you get on the other side of them. Just create some opportunity of space for you. Mm-hmm. And, ideal spot to be in, and what you were drawing out, Jim, in that triangle, be anywhere along the triangle on the outsides of it.
Right.
Sitting on somebody's feet that are faster than you.
Right. All right. What's next on the docket?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the one body length rule, and then turning for buoys. Folks ask at times, coming up to a buoy, should I be on the inside? Should I be on the outside? And so on, right? Mm-hmm. Well, let's make some assumptions. Let's just assume it's a 90-degree buoy turn. So straight right 90-degree turn, or straight left 90-degree turn. If that's the case, well, certainly the person with the inside position, meaning the person closest to the degree that you're going to turn. So if you're going to turn right, the person on the right side. If you're going to turn left, the person on the left side will have an advantage on the turn, right? It's like turning on a track. The person in lane 1, the inner lane, has an advantage over somebody in lane 8.
Shorter distance,
shorter distance. So you will have an advantage. So ultimately, that's your premier position you want to seek out if you can. But you can't make that decision 4 meters before the buoy or 10 meters before. You have to start making that decision minutes before, right? So you can set yourself up tactically, not technically, tactically, to be...
So as you're sighting 100, 150 meters out, you're looking at that line that you're taking to the buoy.
Yes, and in this example, let's say it's a right shoulder turn. Then you want to be starting to get to the right side of the group that you're swimming with so you can have a tighter turn. Now, here's the problem with tighter turns. If you're within a group, a pack that's thick, you're going to have contact around the turn. Yeah. The tighter you make the turn, the more the contact. So the trade-off is, I want a tight turn to swim less and maybe get ahead. The trade you're making, the jockey trade you're making, is you're going to get some hitting on your left side. Right?
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself then, what's my personality? Could I manage that? Am I going to be okay with it? Or should I just be further to the outside? And I think it's a personality decision. Some people just go, you know what? I don't want to be in the scrum. I don't need to fight for an extra body length or half a body length. I'll just make it a wider turn and be more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that's a fine answer. But if the swim is super important to you and you're racing it, or if it's a swim race, you have to be on the inside. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I mean, those stronger swimmers, those ones who are more adapted to the open water are going to take that tight turn. And if you miss those feet coming out of the turn because you went too wide, it's going to be hard to get them back. So, and that's what they realize, right? If I want to be in there, if I want to be in the mix, I got to be aggressive on that turn. But like you said, those are the swimmers who are actually racing to the swim as opposed to just finishing it.
And I'm unaware that this rule is in place. And if it is in place, I apologize for not knowing the rule, but I couldn't find the rule if they've implemented the rule. When you're in the thick of a pack making a turn, and in the example we used, a right shoulder turn, Jim, you've seen this now at races. The buoys have gotten pretty large. They've made it easier for us to see the buoys, right? In fact, there's an event every week in Santa Barbara, every Thursday, and the buoys are now 7 feet tall and probably 6 or 7 feet wide.
Those are massive buoys.
They're massive. They're wider than this table, and they're so you can see these buoys. Now, if you're trying to make a turn around that buoy that has a breadth of 7 feet, you got some, circumference to cover, right? What is holding that buoy in place?
Anchor.
An anchor with a rope, right? Yep. And how wide's that rope? One little inch. A little inch. So you got 7 foot of buoy, or you have an inch of rope. You can dive down underneath and just turn the rope. Yep. You got 2 feet beneath the surface and just do an angled turn beneath the surface, and you're around the buoy. That is a fast, tactical move. Mm-hmm. Here's the risk. You don't do it as well as you think you should be doing it, or you could do it. You try to surface after you've made the turn, and there's 6 people on top of you. Yeah. And then you're having a difficult time getting up for air. Yeah. That's the risk you run. But I couldn't find a rule that says you can't do it. And it's something we used a lot in our races.
Every race I've ever been in, I've done this. But it's hard to do because also a lot of races have wetsuits on. Wetsuits, you float.
You float up.
You got to really dive to get under and get around that.
And you got to be able to arch your back. You get into that concave position, right? Yeah. And really arch to turn. But it's faster.
Or you could be like Ironman Texas last year. I'm going around the buoy. I see all these guys just cut the buoy. They say, I'm not going to go in the melee. I'm just going to cut right on the other side. No one was there to say anything. They just went and did it and just got back into the swim stroke. Didn't go around it.
If it's one thing race directors should do in triathlon, wherever there are angled buoy turns, not where they're just buoys as markers to swim straight, but where there are angled buoy turns, when you turn away, at the start of a race, it's typically a buoy out, make a right turn or a left turn, right? Or the turn buoy to come home. There should be personnel sitting there that disqualifies people.
You're going to be at the Santa Barbara Tri sitting out there on a board watching everybody.
We do it.
You're going to do it.
I've instructed the lifeguards to do that.
You're going to be out there doing it. So then what about the one body length rule?
The most important rule in swimming. The most important rule in open water swimming or triathlon performance, if you want performance. So you guys you're professional athletes, and that doesn't just apply to professional athletes, but in particular professional half Ironman and Ironman athletes, or you guys at the ITU level, the most important rule you could learn to be able to swim fast is the one body length rule. Means you never be more than one body length off the leader of the pack that you're in. So let's say a field breaks up and you're not a great swimmer, but you made it into pack number 2. Okay, pack number 1, Jim, they're gone. But you're in pack number 2. And it's a pack of 8, 10, 12 guys or girls in it, your position is one body length off the leader. Mm-hmm. Never more than that. Not 2, not 3, not 4. There's a cluster of people, 2 at the front maybe, 3 or 4 staggered out, and person, climb up the ladder and get to one body length off the leader. And the reason is rather simple. The moment the leader makes an accelerated break, unless you're one body length off, you can't respond. Mm-hmm. You cannot respond. It's not like in cycling where you can go from 25 miles to 40 miles an hour. Yeah. In swimming, you go at the elite end, from 104 per 100 to 102. Okay? Yeah. It's just such a marginal difference. You can't, and here's the difference again between cycling and running versus swimming. You have 100% of the time in cycling and running, you're taking in visual data points of your field, right? Yeah. The athletes around you. In swimming, it's only when you sight and or breathe. Mm-hmm. Much less frequent. So data points as to performance where you are relative is less frequent.
Yeah. Well, you also think about if you're with an elite group of swimmers, maybe you're just with the swimmers that are around your ability level on race day, right? Say you're a 2 minute per 100 swimmer and you're out there swimming with a bunch of other 2 minute per 100 swimmers, you're on their feet and you let this gap happen, right? And you're already at 2 minutes, that's your goal pace. If you want to go catch up to that person again and draft off them, you don't have to swim 2 minutes. You have to swim 150 to make that. Now go to the lead end. These guys are swimming 1 minute per 100 for 1,500 meters at the Olympic distance. Yep. They're swimming 1 minute per 100, 1 minute. They let that break happen, and they want to get on that draft. In order to get back on those feet, they don't have to swim a minute. They have to swim 50 seconds per 100. And you know how hard it is to come by a second when you're swimming 100 all out, right? And I use the cycling example. I know you just kind of said, no, you can make that. But say these guys in the break the other day in the Tour de France, they're going 33 miles an hour, and they're boom, 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 one after another, and one guy loses focus halfway through for 2 seconds, and he loses that wheel, the guy in front of him. In order to catch back up to that wheel, he doesn't have to go 33 miles an hour. He has to go up to 40 miles an hour, right? And they're already pinning it. So it's that much harder, whether you're cycling, whether you're swimming, to get back on the wheel, get back on the feet, because you have to go that much faster to gain the ground and then get back to that.
Yeah, agreed.
There you go. That's one body length. That's the way I say one body length.
No, it is what it is. The net of it is you have to stay completely present. On an open water, it's different than running and cycling because you're not receiving the data points, the visual data points, the frequency of data, right?
Presence, exactly.
So you need to have a higher sense of awareness of where you are within your pack all the time. And the ideal spot is one body length off. Because if you're 3 or 4 body lengths off, you're reacting to the person that's 3 body lengths off, then that person is reacting to the person that's 2 body lengths off, and that person's, it's a chain reaction. Mm-hmm. And if you're last at the back of the pack, well, your reaction's the slowest. So, and I learned that rule, I made that rule up myself after being 8th, Jim, in a line in a string of 8 athletes in a breakaway. I was 8th, last in the line. Everyone, and we see this in the tour, they're all lined up one behind each other because the pace is hot, right? Mm-hmm. One behind each other. And I was number 8, and number 1 broke away.
Yeah.
And number 2 did not respond.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I had to climb up 8 to 7, 7 to 6, rest, 6 to 5, blah, 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 till I get up to 2nd. By the time I got to 2nd, well, the guy was 20 meters ahead, which he was always ahead of me.
Yeah.
Okay? I was 20 meters back.
Spend making those leapfrogs up.
Exactly.
Right? You had to swim that much faster to go from 8 to 7 to 6 to 5. If you were right there and you could respond to number 1 because you were 1 body length away from the leader, you're right there. You respond right away. Boom. You're right on his feet.
20 meters back, 8 body lengths ish. Guess what? I lost the race by 20 meters. Mm-hmm. Couldn't close the gap.
And then bring it back to cycling. You watch the guys on the tour. You always see the guy with the yellow jersey, the contenders. They're up there in the front row. That's the one body length rule in cycling, but also it's the safest place to be, too.
Yes.
Now, we're talking cycling. We're not talking swimming. It's the safest place to be because one person goes down in the middle of that peloton in that tight, packed area. It's a domino effect. Everybody goes down behind them. So you'll see all those leaders in the front for that one body length rule because they don't want to miss a break. They don't want to miss a reaction. But also because it's the safest place to be.
I
so
also
when you're watching the tour. That's why they're.
Don't envy those guys because man, it's so close at times to crashing.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah. One little tweak of the bar. It happened with Pogačar a couple days ago.
Yep, I saw
crashed.
that.
One guy turned a little bit to react to a break. Didn't see him on his wheel and cut him off. Cut that front wheel off.
Yep.
So that's good. Tactic stuff. Get on the feet. Draft. One body length. Buoy turns. Think about that. We covered so much there in the tactics section, but
there's so much more. But these are sort of frequently asked questions.
Yeah. And if you have more questions, guys, write us in Gerry at tower26.com. Gerry at tower26.com. It's hot out, guys. There's a lot of sweat happening right now. You think the first thing you do, let me have more water. Let me drink more. Let's remember, you guys got to be putting electrolytes in your water as you're sipping throughout the day. We're active. We're not only working. We're training. We're leaving it on the line in everything we do, dealing with my wife, going to the Sybaris, training all day, every day, getting up at 4 a.m., leading the group rides, doing our 2 p.m. calls. It's a lot of work, and it's hot out. We're sweating. You can't just be drinking water, right? You become hyponatremic. We want to make sure we're
that's a big word for you, Jim.
Hyponatremic. It means there's too much water in your system, not enough sodium, and you're going to cramp just as much as you would if you had no sodium in your system, right? So we need to make sure we're taking in sodium with all of our hydration. Your precision hydration is the place that
I've been using that, by the way.
You got to use it.
I've been using it in my swim sessions.
Yeah.
And it has made a difference.
We spoke about it. We spoke about this when you started cramping and having some issues. We got to stay on top of that. Precision hydration, they have different levels, 750, 1,000, 1,500. You go to their website, go to their Knowledge Hub. They'll tell you which one is the best for you, but there's no other product like it. And the nice thing is it doesn't use fake artificial sweeteners, right? So that's what happens to me. I have something like Element, who has stevia in it.
Yeah.
And the diarrhea is like you've never seen before, Jared. It's a little TMI, but I can't deal with it, right? And then you add the load of training, the load of racing. It's that much worse.
TMI for you.
TMI. TT diarrhea.
So here's what I did, just as FYI. Because my wife's going to just nod her head and go, yes. I always question everything. So whatever the directions are in these things, I typically don't follow them.
Yeah.
I scale back because I don't know if my body can handle. Because if it's something I haven't used, I don't know how my body's going to respond to it. So in the case when I started using hydration the first time, it said put so many scoops per bottle, right?
Yeah.
I cut that back by 50% just for my first session. And then I gradually moved it up to the recommended dosage. I'm not suggesting you should do that, but I'm the guy that might end up with the finicky stomach, and I got to enjoy my workout.
Yeah.
So I built in over a few sessions rather than dive in, since I hadn't used it prior.
Go to precisionhydration.com, get your electrolytes, get your carbohydrates there, pH 1500, 750, 1000, whatever it may be. They're on all the courses in Europe and Australia, hopefully soon in the United States, but that announcement hasn't come out yet. Waiting for that maybe next year. But precisionhydration.com, the link in the show notes has all the discounts. You can go do the planner. You can just get the 15%, so click through those links and let them know you are listening. Jer, what are we doing with USA Triathlon? Are we talking about this or not?
I'm still waiting to wrap up the details of that. So let's push that. Let's push that just a little bit. But
you've been reading a book though that we spoke about a little bit I think we spoke on the last session of the 2 p.m. call. That's something else you wanted to touch on before we get into the workout of the episode. Maybe a listener.
Yeah, and I want to get through a couple quick little things here too.
But you've been reading this book, Ballistic.
Yeah,
by
fascinating.
I forget who you said it's by. I have it right in front of me, actually. It's right here. But you've been reading this book, and you want to talk a little bit about it because I think it's interesting. And I've looked for it. I don't think it's been released yet. So
Henry Abbott.
To read it.
Yeah.
What have you been learning as you're looking into this book?
Well, once coaches or trainers, leaders, doctors, people in positions of authority,
there it is, Ballistic.
And leadership roles, don't stay static, meaning we have to learn to continue to evolve, right? That's how improvements occur. And this book is a prime example of taking care of injuries. The way the NBA or the NFL, National Football League, I'm sure it's the same in hockey, basketball, and so on. Sports it's sort of like, all right, the athlete gets injured, all right, put him on the bench, put her on the bench, get him their treatment, whatever it is, and then if they don't get better, replace them. You got a new one, right? It's just like the athletes are expendable.
Yep.
Well, the approach here is more about, well, how do we not get them injured? Let's back up. Let's not wait till they get injured to treat the problem. Let's back up before the injury and create things so the athlete doesn't get injured. And that's what this book is about. It's about the gentleman that sort of helped create new ways of doing things in training and in jumping, in landing, in foot position, and so on, to help prevent injuries. And it's written by an ESPN writer. I think the book is super. You're going to love reading it for sure. I think it's a very, very interesting read. I have a couple issues with it, and I'm not finished yet. So rather than me saying what my issues are, I'm going to let you read. I mean, I can be overcritical at times.
Well, there's a really good strength coach that I follow, and I've learned a lot from, Meacham Brody, and his big thing is he says, joint position dictates muscle function, right? Joint position dictates muscle function. So the way your joints are moving dictates which muscles are kicking in, which muscles are turning off, which muscles are supporting. So it all comes down to that joint position. And what you're talking about in this book that I look forward to reading, because I'm so into this stuff, this is what I think is sexy, right? The Sybaris Hotel and information on this, because not only for maximum performance, but for longevity. And if athletes are burning out, getting hurt as they age, that's less athletes for us to coach. That's less green in my pocket, right? So we want them to stay healthy, we want them to stay functioning correctly. And it's a lot of prehab. It's getting the athlete ready to perform, so when they go out there on race day, they're moving the correct way, the joints are in the correct position, the correct muscles are firing, there's less potential for injury.
Yeah. And furthermore, I think what you'll enjoy is this gentleman who is probably closer to my age than yours. He's younger than me, but the fact is he was a former triathlete. So he had a swim, bike, run background. And, pretty smart dude, intellectual, went to Harvard, the whole thing. And it's worth reading for you in particular. And I think for many of our athletes who get injured frequently.
Well, I take it from my own personal experience, because growing up
and as a coach,
as a coach, but from growing up playing ice hockey, it was just get in the weight room and lift as much weight as you could, right? Go in there and just do what you can do. There's no talk about the way you're moving.
Correct.
How the technique that you were lifting, you just go lift as much weight above your head.
Exactly.
And then I come out of college, this is before I found you in swimming, I couldn't lift my arms above my head. I couldn't do this, right? I had no mobility, all this scar tissue built up in my shoulders just from lifting as much as I could over my head 1,000 times every single day. And there's no talk about technique. And now something like this, these trainers, these coaches are so dialed into how you're moving.
Functional strength, right?
Functional strength. And that's leading to more power, more success, faster times, but also a lot less injuries.
Yeah.
So what else on the docket? What do we got?
Well, I wanted to just share with you guys, I had the opportunity for the second time only, but I want to make this annual if I can. Jim, I went to the Prefontaine Classic again. 50th anniversary. I can't believe the guy's passed away 50 years.
Maybe we should have a Tower 26 event up there. Make it like a race.
I would love to take a group and go up there.
Take the PJ. Tower 26 PJ. You take it, invite some people on it.
It is the most exciting meet. It's not like you're going to a national championships or Olympics where you have to go through rounds, the heats, and then the semis and finals. It's one race.
That's great.
It's the best of the best. And Jim, again, 2 world records.
Unreal.
2 world records.
Women's was a 5K?
Women's 5K and women's 1500.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Absolutely just stunning. I mean, just incredible. And the men's mile also, which is the highlight. It ends with the what's called the Bowerman Mile. And Bowerman is the coach, famous coach from Oregon, right? And so that's the last race, always the men's mile. And they went after the world record. Nagus from the United States went after it, had a pacer, and he went after it, and I like it. Yeah. He didn't get it, but he went for it trying.
Yeah. And that's someone that's decorated him with many victories. What does he have to lose, right? May as well take a risk, get after it. If you fail, oh well, at least you take a risk. But I think a lot of times we get caught up into this. I kind of want to keep the reins on, have a successful race, but I'm kind of scared to go into that unknown territory. Learn to take a risk occasionally and use this as motivation, this kind of performance. He took a risk. He didn't get it, but he went for it.
On the speed of the adaptive athletes that run with the blades.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I mean, I was just sort of taken in by this one gentleman that happened to be, because I would go down to there's a racing track and then there's a warm-up field. Mm-hmm. So I would always go back. When there was a slight break in the menu of races, I'd go back and look at the athletes warming up, because then you could see everybody close up, not quite as close as you and I, but pretty close. So I was watching all the who's who doing their warm-ups. I'm sort of curious to their routine, right?
Yeah.
And there was this guy, somehow he just caught my attention, and I'm watching him warm up, and I coincidentally ran into him on our flight back. He was walking on the plane, so I go, "Hey, I saw you at the meet. How'd you go?" And New Zealand goes, "Oh, good, mate. You know, set the national record. You know."
Oh wow!
So he broke the New Zealand national record in the 100.
Yeah.
But it's just beauty to watch these athletes, the elegance of they're warming up. These Kenyan guys running around the track, they're just like these little loping lollipops, you know?
Yeah. Way too smooth. You look at those guys, look at me, I look like just a lumbering ball of steel as I'm running.
Well, you're so fast, but you're so big.
Yeah.
These guys, they're maybe 1 or 2 of them are your height, but most are a lot shorter, and they're 135 pounds dripping wet, it seems like. Yeah. I mean, they're just little string beans.
I remember I did the Twin Cities Marathon years ago, and they put all the elite runners in hotel rooms together. So I roomed with this guy. I think he's from Ethiopian guy, and we were the same height. That's the thing. But you look at him with his shirt off, and it was just skin and bones. I mean,
it took 3 of him to make you.
And the guy stunk so bad. I couldn't even. His body odor was so bad. I couldn't even sleep. I had to put a pillow over my head to sleep next to this guy. But that's a side note. But yeah, just total different body types. But hey, I've laid out some decent marathon times in my day.
You've had some pretty extraordinary marathon times.
So what else we got on the docket?
Well, I wanted to make sure. I know we talked about this 2 episodes ago-ish, but I brought my tempo trainer again to emphasize the importance of tempo and being able to acquire an additional gear with higher tempo. If you don't have a tempo trainer, you should get one. If you're not using this in your workouts, build it in. It is of critical importance. And it's what's reminded me of this is, since I'm analyzing these races for the national team coach at USA Triathlon, I'm looking at tempos quite a bit. And guess what? There's a similarity at all the athletes in the front pack. They're all at 100 strokes a minute at the beginning. 90, 96 to 100 strokes a minute to start off, and then they settle into 88 to 92 strokes a minute. On the ones who are not in the front pack that are behind, guess what? They're slower.
Yeah.
They haven't trained in tempo rates.
Right, and
so,
it's not something you could just do right
No,
on race day. You got to build into it, just like the nutrition you're talking about. You got to build into it, slowly ease that tempo up so it becomes more and more comfortable no matter what tempo you pull out on race day. And
Yep.
those are tools in your toolbox, right?
Yep.
We're not just one speed Joe. We're not just one trick pony. We have to have all these different tools in our toolbox. So work the tempo. The swim mall, they have those at theswimmall.com?
They should.
Swim
They
Mall.
should.
They have
The
all
Swim
your
Mall.
swimming
Yeah.
stuff. The Swim Mall, we've supported them for years. They supported us for years. So go to Swim Mall, theswimmall.com. They have everything in there. They actually have a Tower 26 pack with our buoy, our fins, our snorkel, everything that we use in our workouts. You can go there and buy the Tower 26 pack and the tempo trainers in there as well.
In fact, I just spoke to the owner a month ago because I wanted to make sure they had the new Form goggle, by the way. Always have this sitting here. I'm a big fan of their product. And they have a new one that I just saw in an ad yesterday. Their Form 2 goggle, they have a Form 2 Plus or Form 2 Pro, whatever the name is. It's an upgrade to the Form 2. So that's out. I don't have any details on it other than it's Gorilla Glass, which is a type of glass. I mean,
There's actually a motor in the Form 2 Plus that actually makes you swim faster. So
then we all need that.
we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll get Scotty Boy on one of these. Talk about the new launch of the Form Plus 2 Plus Plus streaming service. You can actually watch Disney Plus while you're swimming in the new Form goggle. I'm going to keep coming up with ideas because this is great. We could keep building off of this, and we just take 10%.
Guys, if I don't take him off the soapbox, this could go on till this afternoon. So let's move on. If we have time, Jim, I did not do the homework, but if you have time and you can, and if you think, I'm not looking at the timeline of our podcast here, do we have time to talk about the new Ironman Kona rules?
I mean, let's just put it in a box. Right?
Okay.
This is it in a box. It's merit-based, right? It's not number per age group. It's not based on how many entrants there are. They take the top finisher in each age group. They earn a spot to the World Championships. And then from there, all the rest.
So let me back up. Top finisher in every age group of every race?
Of every Ironman race.
Every Ironman race.
Every age group, top finisher gets a spot.
Okay. Are any half Ironman races allowed to qualify for Ironman?
I haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
But I think they took all those away. It used to be Hawaii, so I don't know if that's still the case.
Okay.
Hawaii 70.3.
Okay.
I don't know if that's still the case, but let's just talk about the Ironmans for now. So
Okay.
top spot. From there, all the finishers are put into one big group, one bucket. And they dole out the remaining spots. So you say Ironman Lake Placid has 75 total spots.
Yep.
So how many age groups are there? Who knows? Men's and women's. Let's say there's 30 spots taken by the winners. So there's, what's 30 minus 75 minus 30? I don't know, it's like 45. Right. So you take those 45 spots, and then they go off of how competitive the rest of the field was versus their age group. Right, so the percentage
versus the age group of that race, or the age group of Kona
in this specific race.
I see. Okay.
Right? So if the top 5 guys are 10% in the or within 5% of the 30 to 34 age group, and that outweighs the top 4 women in the 30 to 34 age group, they're going to give the spots to those guys, right, or vice versa. Right?
So I know I might be peeling the onion too much. What happens if in the women's 35 to 39 age group, the winner? Let's make it men, because if I made it women, I'm going to get beat up.
Right.
So let's make it the men's 35 to 39-year-old age group, Jim. The guy that happens to win, it happens to be a soft age group. 35 to 39, he wins in 13 hours. Yeah. Let's just make up a weird scenario. He wins in 13 hours, which is a pedestrian at best time for 35 to 39 men, right? Does the second, third, and fourth guy get to go?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
No idea. I don't know. I got to read more on. I got to read up on it more. I was just going broad strokes, like I said, take it in this little box.
Okay.
But we have to read more up on it because I don't know. You're right. Like, what if?
Because you're going to have a one-off race every so often where you have a pedestrian winning time, just because by hook or crook or luck, certain age groups didn't show up as much.
45 to 49, you're like, 5 hours. That guy won in 5 hours. Everybody else is at 4 hours. How'd that happen? And you're right. Just depends on who shows up for that specific race.
Yeah, I'd like to find out, because if they're moving in the direction of merit-based, which is what you started off, and I saw the releases and I didn't read all the data. I just sort of skimmed it, but I need to learn more. If it's moving in merit-based, I'm in full. It's what I want. That is what a world championship is. okay? Not to be just, you call it elitism, you call it whatever it is, but it's a world championship.
Yeah.
You have 50-something other Ironman races you could go to that are not world championships.
Yeah. And that's what we said when we first spoke about this. We said, okay, this is the way they're doing it. We'll support it. The way that would be right would be exactly the way that they've announced, assuming it's done the right way. You know, we have to look more into the detail, but this is the way we originally said, okay, if it's going to be this way, if it can't be this way and it has to be this way, this is the way to do it. But now they went back to the original way that we said is the right way to do it.
I have an assignment for you.
No, I don't read. So if it involves reading, I don't read.
Your assignment is to, whether you read or you get told, to learn everything about this, because I'm going to interview.
So I'm going to go back to my wife. She reads to me, so I'm just going to have her read it to me, right? It's either that or your wife. I call Elizabeth sometimes. Hey, read this to me, and then she just reads it to me.
All right, let's do a quick little video, and then we'll get to the workout.
Swim video analysis, GERRY at tower26.com. Let's break it down. Let's see what this athlete's doing wrong and belittle them in front of the world.
All right, so this is one of our athletes, beginning athlete. Just started with us several months ago, Catherine. And again, no foundation as a swimmer. You know, in fact, I think Catherine did some ballet as a young girl. But I wanted to show her here, and she does have fins on and a snorkel. I think we're doing a little drill here, and I took just a few strokes. But let's take this, Jim, so that's regular speed, right? Let's take this and break this down now into half speed so you can get a sense of what's going on. So here's 50%. And I took this video to show her one thing in particular that I was noticing, and then because I took the video, I picked something else up that is worth sharing with all of our listeners and viewers because it's really important. So let's break down, Jim. What are you seeing right there?
So we saw her right arm enter the water, crossing over pretty close to her center line. I mean, it's probably crossing her head. You can see her straight up snorkel that you'd buy at theswimmall.com. It's straight in the middle of her head, and her hand is on her right hand is on the left side of that snorkel, so she's crossing over the center line.
Crossing over the center line, and then I'm going to clear that up, and that creates a little bit of an arc, right?
Right, so she has an arc in her body. Her right hip is out because her right hand is over the center line. Her feet are following that banana shape over to the left side.
So we got a bit of an arc. Go ahead.
To do this with the snorkel on, it just tells us when she doesn't have the snorkel on, it's probably 10 times worse, right? Because she's getting the momentum of the body rotation with the breath. So she's probably really crossing over when she takes the snorkel off.
Well stated, well picked out. Here's what I didn't notice, and this is the beauty, guys and coaches, of doing video and then playing it back on a piece of software like this where you can break it down into micro bits of time.
So Gerry has arrows. So if you're listening to this in audio, you can go to Tower 26 YouTube channel, watch this replay. We're at the 1 hour and 7 minute mark of this.
Oh, geez.
We are going long. While we're at the 1 hour 7 minute mark, we're watching this, and Gerry's written on it. So go ahead.
Okay. Now let's go into what's going on, Jim, beneath the surface that I picked up. And I'm going to go quick left hand. So left arm.
Switch to the left. Now we are pulling. Go ahead.
And now look at the left hand as it enters relative to the blue line at the bottom of the pool. Look at the blue line and look where the hand is going. Out, out.
So she's pulling. She's letting that hand splay way out.
Okay. So we've got remember, we have a channel that we can swim in, right? We can swim anywhere, center line to shoulder line.
Right.
That's where the left hand should be. Between the left hand gets to travel on the water anywhere in here.
Right. And her hand is splaying way out of that channel. So if you take your shoulder, you look straight down from your shoulder, your hand should not come outside of that breadth of the shoulder.
It can't be right there, right?
No.
Okay.
Her hand is straight out, her fingertips are straight down, and she's way outside that shoulder line.
So these were the easy ones. But here's what I didn't pick up. And I've never been able to pick it up until today, watching this. Take a look, Jim, at the right arm now. Bend, on the water, bend, 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 bend.
Oh, coming way.
Now, I learned to use this little angle tool.
Closing that angle as she pulls.
Look at that angle, Jim.
Yep.
Maybe 30 degrees. I didn't do that correctly.
She's pulled 3/4 of the stroke. She's back by her hip, and she's really closed off her angle.
So that angle right there is tight.
Very tight.
In the 20s to 30 degrees.
Right.
That angle needs to never be less than 90 degrees, never less than 90 degrees.
Well, she's getting no lat engagement, right? It's all going to, when she's doing all the way up here, that's like teres minor, teres major, the rear delt. There's no big muscle being engaged when she closes the angle with the arm that much.
And now I'm going to blow this up, which I didn't do prior. I'm now seeing this. Take a look at the hand.
It's facing straight down. She's doing there.
Whoops, wrong tool. I apologize. Clear that up.
She's trying to push up on the water.
It's soggy. It's soft.
Yeah.
Right? So, Catherine, we're going to work on this in workout, but the tightness of the angle and the sogginess of the hand, these are going to be big improvements that will be made. By the way, Catherine's gone from like 33 minutes for the mile in open water. Now, it's a mile in the evening, so it's super choppy. She would be faster for a morning, done in the morning.
Right.
33 minutes to 28.
Wow. And that's at the reef and run?
The reef and run, correct.
When am I getting invited up to reef and run?
Reef and run.
No, you never invite me up there to this reef and run.
Jim, you have an open invitation all the time. You've got something called two little minions to take care of.
Exactly. That's exactly why I could get up there, get away from it.
All right.
But no, Catherine's made some drastic improvements, and we pick on these things, but these are the things. These are the detail we focus on, right? And that's how you become a better swimmer. You got to pay attention to detail. So she's made these huge gains, but we keep picking on the detail to make sure she keeps making.
Let's go back to us for a second, and then we'll come to this. Since we're already over time, we may as well go another 5 minutes.
Just keep going.
We've messed it up. So that it might seem like minutia measuring that angle there, which I wasn't able. So coaches on a pool deck without a camera, you have refraction, so it's hard to tell exactly the angles of things on the water, and we don't get the micro bite like we just did on the video. I was never able to pick up her bend with the naked eye. So the fact that we can see this, it's important. It teaches us that we should use video more in workouts and analyze it and go over it with our athletes. And rule of thumb is, on the water, once you've made this first part of the stroke, from the time you enter till you get to about right here, this is the setup, right? And it's only from about here, where, as I'm demonstrating my hands about probably 2 feet beneath the surface of the water right now, and we're now going into the propulsive phase. And while in the propulsive phase, I'll move away from the mic so the voice may. In the propulsive phase, the bend of the arm is never going to be tighter than 90 degrees. Here's 90 degrees, and that's as tight as it's ever going to be. It's never going to go 80, 70, 60, 50, or down to 30. 90 degrees is the tightest, even slightly less, 120 degrees is fine, and then we push straight back. And because of the tightness of Catherine's angle, you can't think of Jim doing push-ups. Where if you went all the way down to the ground, where your chest touched the ground, and you have the smallest angle between the bicep and the forearm, how hard is that part of the push-up? That's the hardest part of the push-up, right? The easiest part is when you start going down. That's the easiest.
Right in there. Get in there. That's where you get right there.
Exactly. So when you get that tight, it's really, really difficult, not engagement. So that's that detail.
We'll be focused on that, Catherine. We're making tons of push-ups. All right, let's get to the workout of the episode. Go to coaching.tower26.com and check out the workout of the episode. We were in the race-ready phase, fifth phase of the season, very race-specific. All those race day tactics we were talking about earlier in the episode. We integrate all those into our sessions. So coaching.tower26.com. Subscribe there.
Okay, so you'll notice, guys, on the screen, there's a little blue arrow on the top left up here. I'll blow this up even further so you can see that. And that's our audio file. There's a 4-minute and 46-second audio. That's an overview of the workout with some detail to it that I usually do or Jim does. And each workout has one. You want to listen to that before. We have a little description of the workout, and then we get into the body of the workout. And again, within the body of the workout, this is the summary version of it. And we can click non-summary, and then you really get all the details with video, citing videos, how to cite, and all the specifics, right? And in fact, I need to send these videos out today to our members for based on our workout this morning.
Coaching.tower26.com. Come on, everybody join up.
So it's some warm-up sets. And by the way, this particular warm-up portion right here, this 6 times 100 kick, we're doing a fair amount of kicking during this phase, Jim, as you know, on your back butterfly kick, because that develops core strength needed for open water. Now let's get into the main set. This is a very, very, very basic main set. In this case, forget the distance, think of it in terms of duration, time. It's a 400 as you're seeing here written out, but look at it as a 5-minute swim, okay? So for somebody that's not as fast, it would be a 300. For somebody else, maybe beginning, it's a 200, but something that takes approximately 5 minutes. We have a distance here, in this case, a 400, and that's done a certain way, and I'm gonna describe how that's done. And it's more intensive. And then we have another one that comes after it that's all easy. And it's easy. You can pull it if you'd like, or you can just swim it, and it's all recovery. So it's 2 distances. They're both the same. One's going to be intensive, and one's going to be super recovery. Bracket that, and we did it 5 cycles through. So it's a total of 10 swims. Simply stated, 1 fast, 1 easy, 1 fast, 1 easy. On the fast one, you will notice here, you're going to dive in to start off. So that's mimicking race starts, right? And if your pool doesn't let you dive in, you're going to jump in and push off the wall. What you're doing is you're setting up the mental framework of what the beginning of a race is like. And then you're going to swim the first 100 or the first 75, depending on your level. In this case, the athletes doing the 400, they were going the first 100 fast, meaning race takeout speed. So if they can swim a minute per 100 in the race, they're going to be out here in 52 seconds, or 54 seconds for the first 100. So faster speed. They're sighting 2 to 3 times per 25, right? So a high frequency of sighting. So that's 8 to 12 sights for a 100. And then the middle portion, they back down to 80% effort, 1 sight per 25. And then they conclude the last 100, again at higher output, higher frequency of sighting, again back to the 2 or 3 times, faster swimming. And then at the end, the moment you touch the wall, you conclude with a deck up. You climb up immediately and heart rate spike. That's the first part of your T1, right? Because T1 is stand up, then you start running, then you get to your bike, and then you get to the mount. I mean, there are several steps in T1.
Perfect it now. We'll get used to it now. Get familiar with that uncomfortable feeling, and you'll fly through transition and make up that time. So we do that 10 swims. That's a huge
And we
set.
did this in pace line. So we grouped athletes together by ability. And in our lane, there were some of you guys that you knew, like Sten and so on. And we had 4 guys in the fast lane. 1 let off, 1 on the feet of the next one, and the feet of the next one, and so on, 4 in a row. 1 guy led the entire 400. Then they did their 400 recovery. And then a new guy took the lead on number 3. Remember, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 were the fast ones. A new guy led number 3, and then so everyone got a chance to lead at the front and also to draft. And that's how we went through. Now, this is a big set.
Yeah. Randy sent me Randy, our East Coast stud. She swam college, amazing athlete, and she was doing these about 4:15 to 4:30 for 400. She sent me a video of her getting out after the last deck up and totally keeled over, fell on the deck, and it was to see someone of that ability level work that hard. It just gets you fired up to do the workout.
She was going 4:15.
Oh, yeah, she was moving. She's fast.
Ooh.
She is fast. But
bring Randy out.
Yeah, Randy's gonna come out. We gotta get training camp out here.
How old is Randy?
She is 25 to 29. So 25 to 29.
Does Randy watch these things?
Oh yeah, of course.
Randy,
all my athletes watch these.
Come on out here. I want to meet you.
I'm gonna push Gerry to the
I want to meet her.
Push Gerry. But so I had a question about this because it talks about this session. I had an athlete do this session yesterday, and he's a newer athlete. He's newer to the competitive ranks. He's done plenty of triathlons, but he said, Jim, Michael Stone, who wrote, why do we hit race takeout and not just jump in and have a nice steady pace? Why do we work race takeout, and why do we execute that on race day? Why is there a race takeout?
For 2 reasons. There's a physiological adaptation it needs, but more importantly, no matter what, at least, Jim, in my 43 years of coaching, I have never seen yet, and there'll be somebody, one of you guys will prove me wrong, but very, very few athletes are actually able to do the beginning of every race easy. There's something about the ambience. You're at the race. You've been building up to train for this for the last several months, right? You have several hundred to several thousand athletes there. The referees are in place. I'm building the ambience. The music is playing at the stage.
Pumping.
Everything's going. Everyone's, and everyone's talking about their ailments. The whole buzz is, everything's just heightened. And then your heat goes off. You think you're actually able to hold back and swim at your regular 80% effort? Nobody does it.
That's exactly
Nobody does it.
So the adrenaline's pumping. You want to put it out there, but you got to recognize after 1, 2, 300 that you're way outside your comfort zone. You got to dial it back, and you have to be comfortable dialing back and staying with that race pace effort, as opposed to just hitting it hard, stopping. I went too hard. So
how many boneheads have you seen? I'm sorry, guys, but I'm calling you some of you boneheads. How many boneheads, Jim, have you seen at the beginning of every marathon? We see it here in LA at the LA Marathon. In the first 200, 400 meters, they're out there waving to the camera. They want to make the camera. And they're out there running literally 4:15 mile pace for the first 200 meters. And then you know that they're a 5-hour marathon.
It's always like a 12-year-old kid. running out there. I'm running next to the kids. Saying, what's this guy doing? Get out of here.
Yeah.
But, okay, cool. A lot of good stuff here. Remember, GEROY@tower26.com. So keep sending those videos in, coaching.tower26.com. We'll keep showing those workouts of the episode, but subscribe there and follow the same workouts we're doing. Be race ready and performance prepared. Jared, what are we going to talk about next episode?
I think maybe a little bit more tactics, a little bit about the tempo trainer and the function, which I did not state. Sorry about that. The function of the mode that we need to be in and how to get it set up properly. When to use it in open water. So let's dive a little bit into that detail. And hopefully by then we'll have some more info on the goggle, the Form goggle, which I think is the best product on the market.
Try and get Scott on. But go to theswimmall.com.
More open water things.
Yeah, a lot of good open water stuff. And then we have peer-to-peer coming up in a couple weeks.
That's
so maybe
right.
we can talk about tactics
Good
there.
luck to you.
Me how I'm going to be
Yes.
first place, even though I'm not doing any swim training right now. But hey, I'll get there. I have a week to cram. But Jared, it's always a pleasure. It's always fun stuff. Remember, if you guys want to hat Jim at tower26.com. Keep the videos, the comments, the questions coming in.
Thank you, by the way,
Jerry
Jim. Thank
at
you.
tower26.com. That looks
Thank
good
you
on
for this hat. I got to put that on.
Tower
Thank
26 blue on the bill. A little different. Well, that thing will stand out on course when we go to Kona, we go to Nice, Lake Placid, all these races that are coming up. Good luck to everybody. Keep those questions coming in. We'll keep answering them. And if you ask on YouTube, we will get back to you right away. So keep the questions coming up on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Always a pleasure, my friend. We will talk to you next time. For Jerry Rodriguez, Jim Biscuit, the Tower 26 Be Race Ready podcast.